Hi everyone, my name is Whitney Bausman and I am the author of the book Partly Sunny, An Honest and Humorous Look at the First Weeks of Bringing Home a Newborn. I realize that when you are a new parent, sometimes the very last thing that you have time to do is to sit down and read a book. And so because of that, I have made the decision to go ahead and release my book right here, absolutely free, chapter by chapter, so that it can reach the people who need it most in a way that works for them. Today, I am going to dive right in and start with the preface, and my hope is that I will see you again really soon for chapter 1. All right, so here we go. If you haven't already picked up the vibe here, this is gonna be super casual, just a conversation between me and you. This preface is titled Caution Tape. If you're reading this book, chances are you are either A, a pregnant first-timer looking for a little insight on the journey ahead, B, a parent in the thick of raising and surviving children, yearning for comedic relief from someone who feels you, or C, a family member or friend of mine wanting to see what my thoughts look like when they make it to paper. Whoever you are, welcome. This book is for you. To those in Group A, congratulations. Have you taken a moment today to bask in the crazy, amazing thing that your body is doing? Think about it. Totally nuts, right? Nuts in a good way, awe-inspiring and wonderful, yes. But let's keep it real, guys. It's hard work, too. If you haven't figured it out already, being pregnant, at least for the vast majority of women folk, isn't always a cup of tea. As I said to an expecting friend of mine just yesterday, pregnancy is a weird and hard time. You're literally growing a mini person inside of you, and your own body is growing too, contrary to the desires of basically every woman ever. It's a roller coaster ride of hormones, exhaustion, sickness, and the often unwelcome advice of any and all whose eyes lay sight on your growing bump. This book is for you. To those in Group B, how'd you sleep last night? Maybe you're new to this whole gig of parenthood and have a tiny infant who demands seeing your face, or boobs, several times a night. Maybe you're further down the pike and have a toddler or two who somehow always find their way into your bed. Maybe you've got a few more years under your belt and had a super fun, sleepless night cleaning vomit from your school-aged child's hair and pajamas and sheets and floor and walls. Even more seasoned, you say? Maybe you spent the night awake helping your teenager put the final touches on his or her could this get any more complicated science fair project. Wherever you are, parents, this book is for you. To those in Group C, I think I pity you all the most. You're the folks who actually know me and have a pretty good chance of seeing my face again after reading the contents of the following pages. I'm really sorry. I'm especially giggly when I think about my father-in-law, who has been so supportive of this project, reading page after page of my tell-all tales of lady parts. This is going to be hilarious. Just remember, you were warned. On the topic of warnings, I feel the need to take some space for several caveats before we dig deep and get started. Haters gonna hate. T. Swift got it right on this one. In the chapters to come, I am going to say very candid, very real, and at times very ugly things. There are certainly going to be folks out there who don't support my openness and altogether lack of couth. Some may even question my ability to be a good mother. Quite frankly, I'm okay with that. I intensely love my children, and I would do anything to keep them safe, healthy, and feeling nurtured. That doesn't mean that I have to have loved every minute of pregnancy, childbirth, and/or the messy aftermath. I know my heart, and God knows my heart, and that's good enough for me. Rainbows and butterflies. The overarching theme of this collection of thoughts and memories is the stark difference between my expectations of motherhood and the realities of my transition from melon carrier to mom. Thanks to greeting cards, children's literature, and the well-meaning expressions of loved ones, I always pictured the first weeks of a baby's life being filled with rainbows and butterflies for infant and parent alike. What I actually experienced, however, was partly sunny with an occasional caterpillar spotting. Again, guys, I loved and adored each of my babes from the get-go, but exhaustion, discomfort, doubt, and guilt are normal realities of bringing a child into the world. Realities that we aren't talking about enough. If you're a mom or dad reading this who truly had a picture-perfect or even close to a perfect experience, you deserve an honest to goodness good for you. I actually have a friend who I would put into this category. Sometimes, or so I've been told at least, babies have very easygoing, content, and calm temperaments, and sometimes these babies are gifted to similarly minded, chill, resilient parents. In this case, sure, perhaps there are rainbows. But let me be bold, however, and say that this is not the norm. It's just not. Take a stab at guessing whose babies were not easygoing and who was anything but chill as a new mom. Yep, that would be me. Scare tactics. Please know that my intentions are never to scare any of you, especially the pregnant readers out there and their brave, often antagonized by hunger and hormones, partners. If by the end of this book, your legs are inadvertently crossed tighter than they ever have been before, and you're praying that your bundle just decides to stay put indefinitely, I have done you a disservice. What I hope you find in reading these pages instead is humor in the midst of what can be a very overwhelming, tiring, and isolating experience. I want you to be able to laugh with me now so that you won't feel crazy later if and when the same things happen to you. Keeping it real. If I've learned one thing since becoming a parent, it's that things can be terrible and wonderful at the same time. Things can be gross and weird and exhausting and hard, but still be hilarious and beautiful and the best ever. My kids are who I am. I love them with a ferocity that I never even knew I possessed prior to parenthood. There's so much good in what they've brought to my life and that of my amazing, supportive husband. The goodness is only half of the picture, however, and if my goal is transparency, which it surely is, I simply have to keep it real and be true to myself so that I can be true to you. Weltschmerz is no joke. Why get real and publicize so many private, raw moments? Because these things are normal, they're important, and they're the things that no one ever tells you. About 2 years ago, I was blessed to share in the experience of pregnancy with my good friend Stacy. I was due with baby number 2 only a few weeks before Stacy was due with baby number 1. Because of this, I offered her encouragement and support as she needed it, especially when she told me that this was the first baby to be born on either side of her or her husband's family. Months down the road, my sweetie arrived and Stacy's due date approached. I kept feeling a strong pull to get real with my friend and send her a quick email so that she'd know it was totally okay for her not to have a picturesque experience. My quick email turned out to be pages long, and as I prepared to hit send, I was overwhelmingly nervous about how my words would be received. Would I scare her or do more harm than good? Would I make myself look like a horrible mother? I swallowed my fears, clicked the button, and then sweat postpartum hormonal bullets until I heard something in response. What I received at first was a true to Stacy reply, something along the lines of, "Thank you for being honest with me. I so appreciate it, and I'll be sure to take all of these things to heart when baby arrives." This is what I expected from my sweet, proper friend who always sees the best in everything. What I didn't expect were the messages I received after the baby arrived. Messages that looked and sounded a whole lot more like me. Messages that wholeheartedly thanked me for helping a new mom not to feel awful, alone, and completely disheartened when realities and expectations failed to align. This is Weltschmerz, a term I happened upon when researching for the work you hold in your hands. Weltschmerz is mental depression or apathy caused by comparison of the actual state of the world with an ideal state. Yes. Weltschmerz was my experience and Stacy's, and I'm guessing a whole lot of other parents when their little ones made it to town. Would the world be a little less Weltschmerzy if we had more realistic expectations of becoming a mom or dad? Perhaps. For this reason, I made it a mission to take my thoughts and feelings to the masses. End result, you're reading it. What I am not, and not. First things first, I am not a doctor. I may be a nurse by trade, but I am in no way, shape, or form trying to provide medical advice in the confines of these pages. While I may share recollections and experiences that depict a time in my life that wasn't as sunny as I'd hoped it would be, I have never experienced diagnosed postpartum depression, nor do I have the ability to speak to overcoming that obstacle. Please, if in becoming a mother you ever feel depressed beyond hope, lack a connection with your baby, or consider harming anyone in any way, get in touch with your medical provider immediately. You are not alone. Second thing second, I am not able to speak from personal experience regarding miscarriage, high-risk pregnancy, high-risk delivery, infertility, and/or infant loss. While some of my closest loved ones have found themselves in these very dark and debilitating circumstances, I am one of the lucky few who has only ever experienced typical, predictable, by-the-books pregnancies and non-surgical deliveries. If you have already been to one of these places and back and are choosing to read this book, I am so very humbled for you to join me. From the most serious place of respect and sympathy, I am sorry that you have been where you have been. I can see how many of my negative sentiments regarding childbirth and the newborn days could be painful and difficult for you to swallow, and you would have given anything to have my experience. What I've learned in recent years, however, is that my reality isn't changed or minimized because of someone else's. It is simply placed into perspective. So while I may have had my share of ugly in the days following the birth of both of my children, I must also be reminded that my ugly could have been a whole lot uglier. Even if our journeys look vastly different, I sincerely hope that we can laugh together from this point forward. All of this being said, welcome to the bear it all, share it all voyage that was and is my life. What you're about to read won't be pretty and lined with gold, but it will be true and honest and authentic. Whoever you are and wherever you are, I pray that this book gives you laughter, some insight, a dose of reality, and a whole lot of hope, which is my very favorite word in the entire English language. If I can help one soul out there to feel a little less alone or crazy on this adventure we call parenthood, then I have done what I seek to do through these pages. Thank you so much for joining me today for the preface of Partly Sunny. I hope and pray that whoever you are and wherever you are, that some of what you heard today resonated with you personally, and that you come back to check out chapter 1 when the time is right for you. We'll see you soon.